Hey everyone, and welcome back to Remember This Tech. Today we have a Intel 815 motherboard, and it was a pull from a gateway computer, but I was in the BIOS and it looks like it wasn't too stripped from features. Came with a 1 GHz CPU, where we're gonna replace that and with the 800 megahertz CPU that I have for our Pentium 3, and if it's functional and works good, then we're going to use that. Otherwise, we're going to downclock this one. We have 3 RAM sticks on this board, 2 IDE ports, and a floppy. We have a AGP slot here, and we have 5 PCI, which pretty much puts it on par with the Asus board, well, with some of the functions that I had tested previously. And we're going to compare the results with the 800 megahertz Athlon Thunderbird that I just reviewed. If you haven't seen that video, check it out in the description below. We only have a VGA out, 2 USB, and 2 PS2 ports. We're using the same setup as we have before, with the GeForce 210 512 meg card. And to go with all that, Sound Blaster Audigy 2ZS sound card. And we're going to throw in a SATA hard drive with a mechanical, with an adapter from SATA to IDE. Powering that will be the same power supply, the 600 watt Thermaltake white power supply. It's not great, but it's what I have. So without further ado, let's get this build started and start the testing. Come on, I'm excited to see which one is going to come out on top with the FPS and the performance. Let's go! We're going to use the test bench bed, the polyurethane or plastic, whatever, and we're going to mount this Intel Pentium 3. Right now it came with a 1 gigahertz. We're going to populate all the RAM, video cards, power supply. We're going to use, let's get going. Going to be using IDE to SATA adapters for the hard drives to accommodate this DVD writer drive and a SATA hard drive as well. Let's populate these, and we can get rolling. Here we go. These come in handy when you can't find IDE drives and such. You can use SATA with these adapters. If you're interested in retro stuff like this, adapters, I can put a link in the description below. Check it out. Of course, you're going to need your IDE cables, so yeah, gotta do a little bit of that, a little bit of this. So I also have this. This is a external hard drive and power LED with on buttons and reset buttons, and you can hook this up to your motherboard pinouts. So I'll put that in the link description below. It also helps a lot because you don't have to short the pinouts to start the power supply on, and you know, it's just convenient. And I'll put that in the link in the description below for anybody who's doing outside of the case build or testing. You need this, you really do. Also, this is a 24 pin to 20 pin adapter for your power supply. It's not that expensive, but finding an old power supply that's in good shape that runs is difficult, so put that in the link description below, because this is another item I find indispensable. Now keep in mind though, your power supply needs to have good amperage on the 5-volt rails, because sometimes the newer ones don't. So keep that in mind when you're powering a higher end system. Not that this is a higher end system, but you get what I mean. So let's plug everything in and get this rolling. It looks like a bit of a mess, and it kind of is. Got the video out, got the CPU in, got the RAM in. Just gotta hook up the mouse and plug in the power supply and see if this thing turns on. Do we have liftoff? Do we have ignition? We do. And it hates something already. That's great. We'll find out in a minute if we get signal out. So reset a few things and go from there. Troubleshooting. It does recognize the 512 meg sticks though. They 1 GHz Pentium 3. We might have to do this test at an unfair advantage to the Athlon and do it with the 1 GHz Pentium 3 because I don't have a 800 and I can't reduce the clock on this board. Part of the troubleshooting process. That chip I had is not good. Great. So we don't need this, right? Shutting off things you don't need frees up IRQs and other things. So it's used both the hard drive and the CD, DVD, ROM drive, so that's great. So this is what we're gonna go through and do the tests. And obviously it's probably gonna be better, but this board isn't as capable, but we still gotta do what we gotta do and continue on with the 1 GHz Pentium 3. Let's save and exit, see if it takes it. Man, look at how slow it counts the RAM up. I've never seen a system count that so slow. Thank you, Gateway. You are ancient and horrible. Oh, I gotta turn that off in the BIOS if it lets me. This is going to be a nightmare. Alright, let's take a look at the system. Pentium 3, 1 GHz. This is a 815 board, Intel 815. It has an onboard graphics controller, which we're not using. We're going to use the GeForce 210 for this with the NVIDIA 260 pack drivers. If we look here, come down, here's a Pentium 3 processor. Default plug and play monitor, and we've got the Sound Blaster Audigy 2, and that's about it. If we look here, properties, Service Pack 3, 512 meg of RAM. I'm gonna have to try to bump that up because slot 1 on this board for the the PC 133 slots, it doesn't seem to recognize any of the RAM. I think it's bad, so we might be stuck at a lower amount of RAM, but I'm gonna play around with it and find out. We're going to install some games and get to testing in a bit. Alright everyone, the first game we're gonna try, it's going to be Company of Heroes. Now, the processor doesn't meet the required specifications to play. The RAM does and the video card does. So, we want to just see what we can do. Like, we're going to have to do 800 by 600. I know it sucks, but let's just try this. This is what we got to do. Everything is low. And alright, we are loading the new settings and see if we can play. Don't expect much. I wasn't able to even get this to launch on the other system, so alright, we have pressed start. And I don't know about you, but it looks like this thing is loading. And yeah, loading slow, but I mean, it's gonna play. It's funny because this motherboard only supports like 768 meg of RAM. I think it only takes 256 meg sticks, and I don't have any, so we're limited to 512 meg of RAM in the system, which is like a third of the RAM of the Athlon system. So I'm really interested to see if, like, because the Pentium 1 gigahertz, Pentium 3 1 gigahertz might carry some of that weight, and the video card might carry some of the weight. Believe it or not, you know, the 210 GeForce 210 is 512 meg card, and it's not too terrible if you get all the drivers going right, tweaked right. I know we couldn't play Battlefield 2 very well, but this is like a 3D top-down kind of 2D game. Did I say 3D? Yeah. Well. And no, I don't have SSDs in the system. Why? I'm putting a even playing field, you know. Use mechanical disc in the other system, and I'm using one on this. Okay, we're almost loaded. How bad will it be? How bad can it be? I don't know. I don't hear any sound though. We've got to take some areas quick and get some resources. And in here we also have to build stuff, so we need more men. Yeah. So what are we running? 3 to 22 FPS. It is not the greatest, obviously, but it could be worse. Is it playable? Yes. Does the resolution and graphics look great? No. But I wouldn't want to play competition with this, but obviously you can play this with this setup. Yeah. One of the first things you need to do is build barracks, create regular troops. As great as these little guys are, they are not going to win any wars. But, you know, with the flamethrower versions of them, I mean, they're not bad. Kill that sniper! Well, what can I say? It's not the greatest at this resolution, but it is playable. And yeah, like I said before, the GeForce 210 humming along with the Pentium 3 1 gigahertz. I think that's what's doing it. So, win for this game. So we've got Battlefield 2 up, and well, the system's going to have a little bit advantage on this gateway board with the 1 gigahertz Pentium 3, but it only has 512 meg of RAM. But I don't think that's going to be the problem here. Problem is we're given an unfair advantage over the Athlon 800 megahertz. So we're going to see how this plays. We'll reset the counter for the FPS in a minute and see how laggy it is or isn't. It was horrible on the Athlon system. Map we had in the other one. Alright. Oh, get in, fool. Yeah, we're probably getting like 2 to 3 FPS higher. 12 seconds to respawn? Seriously? There's a dude in there, NPC, and he couldn't get out, and he couldn't switch to dry, so.
Reload the weapon, press your reload key.
cleared and under control.
As your air station, your weapon is a nearby station.
This game is more playable, but I wouldn't say it's not a huge improvement. It's just not, and you're probably going to need like a 1.4 gigahertz CPU, Intel or Athlon wise, to play this, and maybe an AGP video card with 512 meg to 1 gig of RAM. Technically, how am I better with the pistol than my freaking rifle, man?
Enemy car spotted. Hostile armor sighted. Over.
There's no way I can kill a tank, thank you, with a pistol. Anyways, I guess you could play it, but it didn't really give you much improvement over Athlon system, even when this Pentium is going at 1 gigahertz. So there you have it. Alright, we're going to try Warhammer Game of the Year Dawn of War Edition, and we're setting it up here. We're going to try to run 1024 by 768. Refresh rate, default, but we'll put it at 60 hertz, see how that runs. And yeah, I guess he wants you to make a test, so it tests whether or not you can run the system at these settings ahead of time, which is pretty good. I mean, we're gonna play the game, maybe. And yeah, I'll see how this plays. I know that we didn't play this on the Athlon system, but I'm deviating and we're just gonna see how it plays, because this is a demanding game as well, and we're limited by our RAM with 512 meg of RAM in this system. Even though we have a 1 gigahertz Pentium 3, this game recommends a lot higher processor than what we have in either the Athlon system or this one. So we're going to see. It says Windows Me or Windows 2000 for the requirements, or 98 SE and DirectX 9C. And it says you only need 25 meg of RAM to run this. 32 meg graphics card, but they recommend a 2.4 gigahertz Pentium 4 with 512 meg of system RAM. They're saying you should have a GeForce 3, but let's start this mission. I haven't played this for a long time, so I'm probably gonna die. It doesn't look that great. I don't know how to play. Alright.
Yes, of course, chaos. Chaos is strong.
These guys are weird.
We will serve you, and in return, grant us the power of the dark gods.
really need to shut these guys' voice things off because, ugh, killing me, you know?
Resistance! Grant us the gifts of the Chaos Gods, Great One. We are eager to prove ourselves for the great gods. Now I charge. Ours for the taking.
Yeah, we're running 33 FPS, and we're not doing horrible right now. Let's just look at the options. I'll show you this is the settings, and you know, I think we're at 1024, so not horrible. 1024 by 768.
On our way! Yes, on our way! Yes, Master! Death to the false Emperor! Death to the enemy!
Bless us, Great One. Anywhere you like, Lord.
At your command! Death to the enemy!
Unreal Tournament 2004. Let's check the settings. Alright, 800 by 600. You know, great. Can we play at 1024 by 768? It looks a lot better. Alright, well, let's do this, shall we? Well, I can't seem to adjust the bot, so we're just gonna go with what this has. But let me start this. Oh man, it's smooth. Every time I do this, it like messes up my system. Thinks it's I'm typing or something. He didn't stand a chance. Wow, what was that? Looks like this is doing a lot better than the other system, but honestly, is it comparable? I mean, are we cheating? So we have a better processor, only half the RAM. I'm not good with the rocket launcher, apparently. Oh man. Shield gun. Okay, that thing's stupid. Yeah, the game's doing like way better on this system. So we shall call that a win. So we're back here in 3D Mark 03. We're gonna do 1024 by 768 GeForce 210. So my final thoughts on the testing of this 1 GHz Pentium 3 in the old i15 chipset gateway motherboard. For one, it was slightly handicapped because I didn't know ahead of time that it couldn't support more than 512 meg RAM. Something's wrong with one of the RAM slots, I'm almost positive, because I should have gotten at least 768 meg of RAM, but we're stuck at 512 meg. I'm using Windows XP Pro, so I should be able to use a lot more than that, and the board, something's goofy with it. So that was a handicap for this system. Two, I tried to put my Pentium 3 800 megahertz CPU in the board, only to come to find out that the CPU was shot. So I had to use the fallback of the 1 gigahertz CPU. And I figured, well, since it's kind of handicapped with RAM deficit, maybe it'll even the playing field a little. I used the same parts, you know, the GeForce 210. I used a SATA 160 drive instead of an 80 drive. So it really was only a difference of CPU at 200 megahertz. And that can mean a lot of difference, and it wasn't a true comparison, but that's all I had. Fallback parts, I had to use them, so otherwise I couldn't finish anything. So the Company of Heroes was playable, which is kind of cool, but that's about it, you know, other than a little bit better Unreal Tournament 2004 playability, frame rates rise, not too much better. I'm looking forward to maxing out these motherboards or getting another Intel motherboard and upgrading the CPU in the Athlon system. And I already have some parts coming my way that we can upgrade those CPUs. So stay tuned for that and see what I come up with and how exactly I can max out the Asus motherboard in the Athlon system. So thanks for watching. Remember this tech.